Hello and welcome to Database Management Systems. I'm Jovita Christie, and in this video I'm going to explain subqueries, which are a mechanism provided in structured query language. Subqueries are provided to you so that you can write a query inside a query. So this is where you can use the result produced by one query to as a condition in a second query. So this is what subquery does, and we are going to see this with several examples. And all these examples, most of these examples can be done using a join in SQL, but a subquery is just a different way of doing it, and sometimes there are questions that can only be solved using a subquery. So now we are going to see several examples to do this. If you need to create the database that is being used in this video, then please watch the videos mentioned in the description box. And let's start with the first query. The first query is find the names of all the people who work in the consulting department. If you have watched the previous video on joins, you will notice that this is the same query as taken over there. But we are just going to now do it using a subquery. So this is how you can do it. You will write down, first of all, two queries. So you can see that there are two select operations. And let's see this from inside. So the first operation, which is inside the brackets, it says select code from departments where name equal to consulting. Let's see what could be the result of this. So if you see here, then this is the departments table, and when I say select code from departments where the name is consulting, then what is the result of that? The result of that would be CNSLT, because CNSLT is the code of the consulting department, and that is what I would get as a result of my previous query. Now this result is used in the outer query, and the outer query says select first name, comma, last name from employees where dept code equal to, and then this query is written. And we know that this is going to return CNSLT. So you can try reading the outer query as select first name, comma, last name from employees where dept code equal to CNSLT, because it's the result of the inner query. So when you do that, then look at the employees table, which are the rows that have the code CNSLT, the rows 4 and 5, which are having Suzy Software and ABitWise. So when you see here, you are getting those two names as the result of your query. Please try to implement this on your own and come back to the video. Now let's see another example. So the question says, find the total time assigned to employee ABitWise. And once again, this can be done using a join, but we are going to do it using a subquery here. So this is how you can do it. It says total time assigned to ABitWise. So you can write down select and some assigned time from works on. And in this case, now we are applying a group by clause and a having clause, because this is necessary if you want to find out total time for a particular employee. Now, before we do this, let's first see the database and how it looks here. So this is the employees table, and this is the works on table. And you want to find out from the works on table, what is the total time assigned to ABitWise. Now, if I look at this table, I cannot tell which employee is ABitWise. I have to look at the employees table to find that out. And from employees table, I can find out that ABitWise is having the employee ID 5. And then using that information, I can find the total time assigned to employee ABitWise from the works on relation. So this query as a subquery would work from the inside, where first you would talk about the works on table and then try to do the rest of the things. So look at the query inside, where I'm first trying to fetch the employee ID from employees table and then doing everything else. So I want employee ID of Abe Advice. So I'm going to write down the query as select employee ID from employees where first name equal to Abe and last name equal to Advice. And once this is done, I would get the employee ID 5, which belongs to Abe Advice. Once I get that, then I can use that result in my outer query. The outer query says select sum in bracket assigned time from works on, and then I'm grouping all the times by employee ID. So if you keep it till here, then you will get the assigned time to each employee, total assigned time for each employee. But I only want for Abe Advice, so I've added the clause having employee ID equal to, and then the result of this query, which is 5. So that is why I will get 1.1, which is assigned time for just Abe Advice. Now let's see another example. And yes, you should pause at this point and please try to implement on your own. And once you're done, come back to the video. Let's see another example. This is find the first and last names of all employees who make more than the average salary of the people in the accounting department. Now, this is the type of query that you would feel comfortable doing with a subquery instead of a join. So this is how you can do it. Now, in this case, we are using a slightly larger query where we are using 3 subqueries. You can see that this is the outer query. Inside that, there's one query, and inside this query also, there's one more query. So this is a subquery which is nested 3 times. Now, in this case, again, we have divided this task into several queries. The first task is to find the accounting department, to find the code of the accounting department. And the reason for that is, if you look at the database, then in all the tables, that is projects and employees table, both we are using the dept code. We are not using the actual name of the department, which is accounting. So if I want to use either employees or projects table with reference to the departments table, I have to fetch the dept code first. So that's why we are doing this part first. We are trying to first fetch the dept code by writing select code from departments where name equal to accounting. So I'm trying to first do that part. And when I'm doing name equal to accounting, then I will get the dept code ACCNT. Now look at the query outside. The second step of my query is finding the average salary of people in this department. So I'm going to write select AVG, that is the aggregate function. So this I'm applying to the salary column of employees. And of course, I have to group by dept code. And then I have to write having dept code equal to, and the inner query returns ACCNT. So that is what goes here. This is just like the previous query, but there's one more level to it. So this would give me the average salary of people from the accounting department. So that's what the query from here to here is doing. Once that much is done, now I need to find people who are in the employees table who earn a salary larger than this average salary. So that's why I've written select first name, comma last name from employees where salary is greater than whatever we got from here. Okay, so let's see how many people are there in the accounting department. If we look here, then there's only one person in accounting department. So if you take an average, you will get 40,000 itself, obviously. So when you're getting 40,000, then as a result of your query outside that says people who have salary greater than average of accounting, then they would have salary greater than 40,000. And such people are, number one, I'll be the leader, that is 70,000, then 50,000 Harry Hardware, 60,000 Suzy Software. and hardly aware 65,000, and that's what we are getting here as a result. So you can say that this is how you can perform your query by splitting it into multiple tasks and then using those to find your answer. Please try to implement this query on your own. Now, the next concept that we are going to cover is a subquery using the in keyword. So this keyword helps you when the query which is inside returns to you multiple results. So far, we have seen only those queries that which are inside another query, but they return only one result. For example, in the previous one, question, we saw that it returned ACCNP, the debt code, and before that, it returned the average salaries. Now, the average salary is also only one value. So whenever only one value is there, you can directly use comparison operators like equal to and greater than and less than and greater than equal to. All these things can be used directly. But if you have a subquery that's going to return to you several values, several results, then you would have to use the in keyword to apply that as a result. Let's see this with an example. Find the descriptions of all projects that require more than 70% of an employee's time. So in this case, we need to find out that the time spent by the employee is more than 70%, which is 0.7 if you divide that by 100. And this is how we are doing this query. We are writing, first of all, inside, we need to find all the project IDs where more than 0.7 time is spent. So for that, we are writing select project ID from works on where assigned time is greater than 0.7. And let's take a look at the project works on table right here. So we know that here we are having two project IDs that have time more than 0.7, although it's the name of the same project ID, but we have no way of verifying it. And most of the time when we write SQL queries, we do not write considering the actual data inside the table. All we are given is the schema. So based on the schema, we do not know how many project IDs have a time more than 0.7. It could be 1, it could be 2, it could be more. So that is why we are using the in keyword and not equal to or greater than directly. So here we are writing, first of all, select project ID from works on where assigned time greater than 0.7. And this would return to me the project ID of robotic spouse twice. And then what we are doing, we are trying to find the description of this project because the works on table only gives me the ID. It does not give me the name of that project, and I want the name of the project, which I can get from the projects table. So I can write down select description from projects where project ID in, and then this is the inner query, which gives me the IDs of all projects which satisfy this criteria. Now the thing is, in this case, there was only one project, but if there were 2-3 projects, then this in keyword would make sure that for each of those projects, I would get a separate description. So this is how you can use the in keyword in the subquery context. Please pause the video, try to implement it, and then come back to the video once you're done. Now we are going to explore another concept in SQL subqueries, which is using not in. So last time we used the keyword in, and now we are going to try and use not in. This is the question. Find the names of all departments not currently assigned a project. So this is where you are going to use the keyword not in. and it looks like this. So we are writing select name from departments where code not in, select depth code from projects. Now the innermost query is simply going to bring you the depth codes of all the codes available in the projects table. So this is the projects table right here. And in the projects table, we have the department codes of three different departments because the NSLT is repeating. So there are three departments occurring here. And in the departments table, there are four different departments. So we know that one of these is not present here in the projects table. So that would be the department that is not assigned any project. And that's why first we are fetching all these depth codes and then using the not in keyword. So this is very simple. You just have to write down select name from departments where code not in, whatever result we get from here. So that is why as a result of this, we are getting the hardware department, which is not assigned any project. As you can see, the HDWRE code does not appear here, but it is present in the departments table right here. So please go ahead and try it on your own. Let's now move on to our next concept within the subqueries using the in keyword. So you don't just have to use the in keyword. You can use greater than, equal to, everything combined with the in keyword, which is what we are going to do here. This query says find names of all the people who work in the consulting department and who spend more than 20% of their time on the project with ID ADT4MFIA. So let's see the result and then I'll explain it to you. So this is the result and this is how I have implemented it. First thing you need to do is find all the projects with ID ADT4MFIA. And those projects should be assigned a 0.2 or more, a time more than 0.2. So that's what we are doing. And these people are taken from the works on relation. So first, this inner query is doing just that. It is doing select employee ID from works on, where project ID is equal to this project ID and the assigned time is greater than 0.2. So let's see what that actually gives us from the table. This is the works on table and project ID should be ADT4MFIA, which is given right here twice. And both the times the assigned time is greater than 0.2. So as a result, you are going to get IDs of the employee IDs 2 and 5. Now these 2 and 5, you can see that this is not an employee ID of just one person. There are 2. So that's why we are using the in keyword outside. And what we are writing is select code from departments where name equal to consulting and employee ID in this part. So actually, this is not a way in which you are writing a query inside a query. You are writing 2 subqueries inside the first outer query. So let's try to understand it that way first. So first thing, what I want is just the names of people. So just the first name and the last name from employees. And then there are 2 conditions. So look at the first condition, which is where depth code equal to something. And look at the second condition, that is and employee ID in. And then we applied this query, which I just explained to you. What does this query do? This query right here in this bracket is fetching the code of consulting department. So this gave me the code CNSLT, which I supplied here. And this query gives me the employee IDs of people satisfying these conditions. So which I'm supplying here. And then as a result of this, what I'm getting is Abe advice, because the works on query gave me 2 and 5. Employee 2 is pi r squared and employee 5 is Abe Advice, but we also want that that employee should be in consulting department and pi r squared is not. So that's why as a result, we got only employee Abe Advice. Please go ahead and try it on your own. The next concept that we are going to explore is using a subquery with the keyword any. Now, there are a lot of concepts in subquery, but this particular keyword and one more keyword that we are going to see after this, they make the subquery actually a very powerful mechanism in SQL, and you wouldn't want to do all these queries with a join because you have this keyword present in a subquery. So let's see how to use this. Suppose you are given a question, find the first and last name of all employees who are paid more than someone in the accounting department. Now, here the word someone is very important. It says more than someone. It does not say that more than everybody in the accounting department. That would be absurd, because why would you say more than everybody in the accounting department? That's actually saying that more than the salary of the person earning the highest salary, because obviously if you say more than everybody in the accounting department and there are 3 people in the accounting department and they have salaries 20, 30, 40,000, then obviously what you're trying to say is greater than 40,000, because if something is greater than 40,000, it would be naturally greater than 20 and 30,000 also. So that's why this query simply says greater than someone in the accounting department. And so this can be solved in this manner. First of all, the inner query is fetching the code of accounting department, ACCNT, from the departments table. And this is nothing new. We have done this before. The outermost query is now trying to fetch the salaries of people from this department. So first we got the code ACCNT. Then using this code in the employees table, we try to find out the salary of all the people in this department. And once we get that salary, we are using the any keyword like this. So we wrote select first name, comma last name from employees where salary is greater than any salary that you got here. So let's see this. First of all, the code for accounting is ACCNT. Check in the employees table. There's only one person in accounting, that is pi r squared, and that person is having a salary 40,000. So basically what you're trying to do is finding people with salary greater than 40,000, which we have done before in this video itself. But the thing is that you do not know that there's only one person in accounting department. Without seeing the data, you cannot tell that. So my question could have easily been find people earning more than anybody in the consulting department, in which case it would be 30,000 and 60,000, and all salaries would get compared with these two salaries, and as a result you would get everything. Now in this case you are getting 4 people because all 4 are earning more than 40,000, which is the salary of the person working in the consulting in the accounting department. So this is how you can use the keyword any. And again, I encourage you to try this on your own, and then you can come back to the video. Now let's move on to our last concept in subquery, which is the use of the keyword all. The question is, find the minimum salary of the employees who are paid more than everyone in the accounting department. This can be solved in this manner, and you can see that the query itself says more than everyone, whereas the previous query said more than someone. That's why we used any. This one says everyone, so we are using all. Now, first of all, again, it says accounting department. So first we are fetching the code of that department right here. And then again, we have to compare the salaries. So we are fetching the salaries of all people in accounting department using this query. Select salary from employees where depth code is equal to ACCNT, which we got from this query. Now my next step is to find the minimum salary. So this is the same as the previous query, but I'm just finding the minimum salary. Last time I fetched the first name and the last name of people, but now I'm only finding the minimum salary where the salary is greater than all the salaries that come from here. And we know that from the previous query that there's only one person who's working in the accounting department, and that is pi r squared. He's earning a salary 40,000. And then if you check, then there are 4 people having salary more than 40,000, which are Al, Be the Leader, and Harry Hardware, Suzy Software, and Hardly Aware. From this, you can easily tell that Harry Hardware is having the minimum salary of 50,000 from these 4 employees which are selected. And that's why the answer over here is 50,000. So this is how you can make use of the keyword all in order to specify that you want all the conditions which you are getting from inside this query to be satisfied. So please go ahead, try this on your own, and also please watch the next video in order to understand the final concept in SQL. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.